Hey, no trouble. What is good? Look, obviously doing something a little bit different today. Do two parts. First of all, it is hot as I don't know what in California right now. I'm burning up. Funny story. You know, I grew up in New Orleans, right? So I used to tell my grandmother, "Man, it's hot, Granny. It's hot." She said, "Boy, you know, there's a place that's even hotter than this. And it starts with an H." And I said, "Where? Houston?" And she would be like, "Boy, you almost made me cuss." Miss my granny. Anyway, today, I've always wanted to do a gospel video, but the subject is so dense and so vast, I wasn't quite sure where to start. And just recently, I did Saturday night, as a matter of fact, I did a gig with a fantastic singer named Rhonda Benin, who produces a show called Ain't No Jazz Without the Blues. And, you know, ain't no jazz, ain't no rock, ain't no pop, ain't no EDM, none of that without the blues. Before the blues, you got gospel, you got spirituals. Now, when the word gospel comes up, especially nowadays in the day and age of licks and lightning fast fingers, I could be wrong, but when people bring that up, it seems like that's what they really want to know about, is all that hip stuff, and that's cool. But learning the lick first is kind of backwards. So there's nothing wrong with going to the source, and that's what we're doing today. In this show that Rhonda does, she starts off with an African chant, and then she moves on into a spiritual called "Oh Freedom," and I thought that would be a really great song to use as the vehicle for this video for various reasons. One, because it fits perfectly with the topic. Also, the song is, in the crazy climate of this country and the world right now, particularly this country, it just spoke to me. So so that's the song we're going to look at. Now, "Oh Freedom" is a post-Civil War spiritual that became an anthem in the civil rights movement in the 50s and 60s, and was made popular. The first recording made popular by Odetta. Odetta Holmes was her name, but she was known by the name Odetta. Sort of like, I was going to say Madonna, but nothing against Madonna, but it ain't really the same thing. Prince. There you go. Okay, enough of that. So what I want to do is, I found this version of, and like always, I'm going to list and link some versions that you should probably check out. And this version is a cappella. Now, let me get to this. So I'm using a little keyboard, this guy, for the first half of this video. And the reason is because there's no other instrument that addresses harmony the way that the keyboard does. And I can't give any advice better than get friendly with the keyboard. The point is, your ears get a lot sharper. And here's the thing, man, about rhythm section players, bass players, and drummers, where we're kind of having to catch up. If you know Anthony Wellington, he speaks on this a lot. But we are in sort of a position where we have to catch up a little bit, because folks think we just playing roots, and that's just not what the case is. So anyway, I'm going to use the keyboard, and I'm going to use this particular a cappella version as a vehicle for the first half of this lesson. Check this out.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
Okay, let's look at that first part. This is in the key of C. All right, now again, my keyboard skills are going to leave you wanting more, I'm telling you. But so In the first half, we're just using the 1, the 4, and the 5. Okay, so we have freedom, oh, freedom. So 1, freedom, oh, 5, freedom over me. Sorry, 5, right? And before I'll be a slave, 1, I'll be 4, buried in my grave, and go home to my 5 and be free. Back to 1. Okay, I'm gonna play that along with this recording, so we can just kind of hear it against that, and then we'll see some other things start to take place that we're going to talk about.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh.
Okay, we lost the little keyboard I had down here at the bottom, but that's okay. So I'm hearing 1, 4, and 5 are pretty easy for us to recognize, right? Now let's listen to what happens next when the other voices come in. They're going to start implying different chords, okay? So I think one of the important things about being a bass player is you should be able to break a song down really to bass and drums and still hear the changes, you know? So if we were playing with just a singer and we were just holding out the root notes, we should still hear the changes. So that I'm going to show you that when I pick up the bass in the next half of the video. But let's listen to now when the rest of the voices jump in.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. Over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my own grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
All right, let's check this out, man. So once you hear those low notes happening where we live, then we start hearing some more colors, especially in the turnaround. Okay, so just to review and I did some iReal Pro charts that I'll include, PDFs that I'll include. So in the basic version, we have in the turnaround, we've got 1, 5, 1, and then 5 going back to 1, right? Typical, right? Sounds like a blues, yeah? Okay. Now, here's what happens in the turnaround when we start adding some different flavors to this. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord. All right, let's talk about this. So we've got C. Now this used to trip me up back in the day. There's an E in the bass. Now we might think E by itself. Let's say we were just talking about if we didn't know anything about chords, right? As bass players, we don't know nothing about chords. So we know C, and the keyboard player might tell you this, right? Keyboard player, piano player might tell you, hey, don't worry about it. Just play the bass notes, right? C, E, F, F sharp, G, right? That's fine and good, but that leaves a spoke out of the wheel, right? We want to fix that. So We've got C. That is now still a C chord, but we've got the third, the major third in the bass. All of a sudden, what we do changes that color. So, before I be a slave, right? Now we're at our 4 chord, F, yeah, so. Right, 4. Now we've got this sexy beast, which is just in the right hand. If, like, let's say that the keyboard player only played that. Okay, what we have is a F sharp, A, and a C. If I put it like this, F sharp, A, C, that's an F sharp diminished chord, and it is functioning as a passing chord. Okay, so. For I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. And now watch this. And go home. Now let's say we just had that 5 there, that root. That 5 is G is the 5th of C, right? We might be inclined to say that is a 5, 6, 2, 5, 1 turnaround. Well, that isn't really what that is. What that is, okay, now here's where my keyboard skills get a little bit lacking. So that's a C major with now the G in the bass. We're playing, you know, right? And go. We can put that. And now 5. 1. Okay? Have I shown you the keyboard that I'm using? Doesn't take a lot. So you see what I'm saying? How sitting down and kind of sussing these things out on the keyboard gives us a better understanding. Now, that, you know, that's flavor, man. That's some extra information that we didn't have before, right? And it's useful information, I think. So I'm gonna hop over to the bass now, and we're gonna take a look at how to apply those things on the bass. Stay tuned.